Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a couple of cards that feature a hint of sparkle for the holidays. I'm going to give you a few ideas for adding a bit of shine to your holiday card projects, and I'm featuring brand new products from the Pinkfresh Studio Twinkle and Tradition release, which is available today. I'll be featuring this timeless Tidings die and stencil set. I love these die and stencil sets from Pinkfresh Studio because they can be used with solid colored cardstock or along with the coordinating stencils so you can do some ink blending. And that's how I'm going to be using them today. Now, this is a 5-piece stencil set. I'll go through all of the stenciling with you. And I'm starting out by cutting my cardstock to the size of the stencil. So this measures 5 by 6 inches. And I'm cutting 2 pieces of paper because I'm going to be doing the stenciling and the die cutting twice to create a couple of cards, and I'll have some leftovers as well. So I'll start by placing my paper onto a grip mat, and I'm positioning stencil number 1 in that lower corner to where it lines up with the bottom and the right side of my cardstock. Now, once I have that in place, I'm going to use a magnet to hold it. And I grabbed a piece of acetate to kind of mask off some of the bottom areas of the stencil. Now, I didn't mask on my second time through. I did this entire stencil in Lush Forest for my second inking. But for this one, I'm using olive, and I wanted to make this little vine here a lighter color, so I'm using fresh pear. So you can see the upper part of the stencil is all olive, and then this is fresh pear. And finally, I'm going to finish off the stencil, and I'm going to use a couple of the 1/2-inch blending brushes to add specific ink colors to specific areas. Keep in mind, you can either choose to mask off and do smaller areas in various colors, or you can just do the entire stencil in one color. They both turn out really beautiful, and I can say that because I have experience with both. So I did some passion fruit on those ornament areas, and now I'm moving on to stencil number 2, which colors in the solid areas of the berries on the stencil at the top, and then some of the ornament portions on the bottom. And I went ahead and just did this entire stencil in coral reef, and I'm using a large 1-inch blending brush and just kind of building up that color. Once I'm done with stencil number 2, I'll give it a little wipe, and then I'll position stencil number 3. And I did want to mention that each time I'm lining up these stencils, I'm not only using those triangles, which are inked in by all of these stencils. You can see those 3 little triangles there. Those are going to be really important when we line up our die. So you're going to want to make sure that you ink those in. But I'm not only using those triangles to help me align, but I'm also aligning the edge of the stencil with the lower and right hand edge of the cardstock every time. And by using those 2 different landmarks, I can get these stencils in perfect positioning. Now you can see, again, I'm using 1/2-inch blending brushes to kind of put specific ink colors in certain areas. I don't believe I did that on stencil number 2. I just did the entire stencil in single colors instead. Now for the details on the leaves, I'm using Lush Forest over that olive ink. It looks beautiful together, and I'm using a 1/2-inch blending brush. And for this little stem here, I'm using the olive on top of that fresh pear. Now for this 5th and final stencil, I'm coming in with the details of the berries, and I'm using passion fruit. And then I'm just kind of dabbing in a little bit of the candy apple that's still left over on my brush from doing portions of that ornament before. Now that completes my first stenciling, and I went through this entire process again with some different colorways for this second stenciling. I used all the same colors, just in a different order, and you can see those here. My leaves on the second stenciling are a little darker, my berries are a little darker, and then I used more green in the ornaments, and I really love the way both of these turned out. Now, as I mentioned before, these triangles are really important because they're what help you align your die. So you see the 3 triangles on my die? I'm going to line those up with the 3 triangles on my stenciled cardstock. I'm going to hold this in place with a little repositionable tape and then run that through my die cut machine. And then that's where these images really come to life, because the die adds some like cut lines to the leaves and the ornaments, which really adds a lot of detail to this cardstock piece. So on the leaves, you're going to get some extra veining, and on the ornaments, you're going to get some little dashed lines, which add to those more solid areas of the stenciling. Now I wanted to show you here the cardstock because it does have a little bit of forgiveness if you don't get these lined up exactly. So you have a little bit of bleed area that's created by the stencil so that you don't have to get these exactly in place to come out with great images. So I've die cut both of my stenciled images, and now I'm using this die to die cut some champagne colored glitter cardstock. This is from the Pinkfresh Studio Metallics pack, and I am going to use these die cut pieces to add a little bit of sparkle to my images. Now, originally I had kind of only die cut these to do the ornament toppers for my images, but I decided that this little peak of glitter cardstock on the edges of these leaves was just to die for. And it's a great way to add just a hint of sparkle to some images for your Christmas or holiday card making. For all of the images, I'm going to add a layer of that glitter cardstock with a little bit of offset, just like you see on those holly leaves there, but I'm creating an arrangement that I really like on my work surface, and then I'm going to snap a picture of that so that when I go to assemble this card later, I can remember exactly how I had everything positioned because nothing's glued in place at this point. So at this time, I'm going to take some Pinkfresh Studio liquid glue and start assembling the topper on my ornament, as well as those glitter layers behind each of these. Now, if you wanted to get even more mileage out of your glitter cardstock, you could actually trim these pieces in half vertically down the center, and you could use just half of that glitter cardstock and use the other half for your next set of images. Now, another great way to add some shine to your holiday card making is some foil. And I am using this satin champagne color. It's from the Satin Metallics Glimmer Hot Foil pack. And I thought it matched beautifully with that champagne glitter that I had used earlier. I'll also be foiling some Sentiments, which is a brand new product from the Pinkfresh Studio release. You've got to check out this entire release. It is so beautiful. But you can see while my Quatrefoil background is heating up on my Glimmer Hot Foil system, I just wanted to show you those other products that will be featured in these projects. Once my Glimmer Hot Foil platform was completely heated up, I hit the timer. Once the timer light stops blinking, I know that my hot foil plate, or my press plate in this instance, is ready to go. So I'm going to add my foil with the pretty side facing down, and I have some rainforest cardstock here that I'm laying on top. And finally, I'll add the thin shim and the spacer pad that come with the Glimmer Hot Foil system and run that through my die cut machine. This is going to give me the most beautiful, elegant background for the stenciled images that I created earlier. And then, of course, I went ahead and did my sentiments while I had all of my foiling materials out. So I have a few of those which are foiled in that same foil, and I'll use the coordinating dies to die cut all of those sentiments. Now, to add a little bit of drama to this background, I took the Lush Forest ink and I ink blended the edges. I left the center unblended, but you can see I'm inking right over that foil that's there. The foil will resist the ink, so you don't have to worry about inking over the foil. I would just make sure that you're using a blending brush that's pretty soft, that the bristles are kind of soft and fluffy. These 1-inch blending brushes from Pinkfresh Studio are perfect for that. So you can see how that bumps up the drama quite a bit on that background. And now that I have my background ready, I'm going to start assembling my pieces onto the card front. And I'm using some foam adhesive to add all of these images to my card front. And off to the side of my work area, I have that picture that I took with my cell phone kind of guiding me through the assembly of all this. Now, another fun way to add a little bit of shine and sparkle to your holiday card projects, especially when you're using an ornament, is to use a metallic thread. And so I tied a double bow for the top of my ornament with this rose gold thread and placed that on the top. And I'm finishing off my assembly by adding my sentiment with some liquid glue. Now, this does have the layer of glitter behind it that's slightly offset. So there are a couple layers on this sentiment which give it a little bit of dimension, but I decided it was better if it kind of sat behind the leaves. Now, my last little way to add a little more sparkle to this card are the glitter drops from Pinkfresh Studio. I'm using the champagne glitter drops here, and I'm using my dual tipped embellishment tool along with some liquid glue to position those on my card front. And that finishes off card number 1, moody, elegant, beautiful. This might be one of my favorite Christmas cards I've ever created. I think the way that those background pieces and the elements on the front combine is just absolutely stunning. And I love the little peak of the glitter that's coming out from each of these little elements. Now for card number 2, I'm going to use the brand new Lantern Landscapes. Now this die was actually a part of a previous Pinkfresh Studio Create and Connect event. So if you were a part of that Cards for Him event, you probably already have this die and the coordinating Lantern Landscape stencil. But in this release, there are 2 brand new stencil sets that create adorable scenery that go on the inside of this lantern. I'm not using those today. I'm just using the die with this Timeless Tidings die and stencil set that I've already created the elements from. But keep in mind, there's a lot of different design options for this lantern. So I die cut the lantern from some rainforest cardstock and the center portion from some vellum. I also die cut 3 layers of plain white cardstock using that Lantern Landscapes die set, and I'm going to stack these up to add a little bit of dimension to my lantern. So I'm adding some liquid glue to the front side of the first layer, and as I stack these up, I'm going to add a heavy acrylic block over the top so that they're making good contact with each other as that liquid glue dries. So there are 3 layers of plain white cardstock here that are stacked up. And before I add that colored cardstock piece onto the top, I'm going to add a little bit of ink blending at the corners of this lantern using the Lush Forest ink and a 1/2-inch blending brush. Keep in mind, there is a Lantern Landscape stencil available where you can stencil these different areas of this lantern in different colors and add some shading. So you may want to pick that up with the die set as well. Once my lantern is assembled with that colored cardstock version on top, I'm going to start adding the elements from the Timeless Tidings that I created earlier. And I'm using a little bit of foam adhesive to place those holly leaves at that upper left-hand corner. I'm trimming down this little stem and I will place that using some liquid glue. This berry on top also has some foam adhesive behind it, and you'll notice that all of these pieces have that little bit of glitter cardstock peeking out from them as well, just giving these an element of shine. Now I added 2 of the ornaments to that center portion that I die cut from vellum, again using some foam adhesive because if you know me, you know I like a big card. And for the background of this card, I am going to use the brand new Evergreen Sparkle Coverplate die. I'm die cutting this from some blush pink cardstock. This is the most beautiful background. I love the little starry features that kind of knock out from this background. It would look beautiful in light and dark colors. And you can see I'm just using my dual tip embellishment tool to pop out all of those little pieces that kind of were left inside the die cut. Now to give this even more sparkle, because you know that is the theme of this video, I'm going to back this with more of that champagne glitter cardstock. I'm using some liquid glue all over the back of my plain cardstock piece here, and I'm going to line this up and then add that heavy acrylic block over the top as it dries to make sure that that glitter cardstock and that standard cardstock adhere well together. Now I have this little sentiment here, which is one of the sentiments that I foiled earlier, and I'm adding it to the top of my little ornaments there for the center of my lantern. And now I'm going to add my lantern onto my card front using some liquid glue. And I can position that vellum piece with the ornaments onto the card front using a low loft foam tape. You can see I've also adhered little rose gold thread bows to the top of these ornaments as well. And I'm finishing this card off with more of those champagne glitter drops because you can never have too much sparkle on a holiday card. Am I right or am I right? So there you have it, a second holiday card with all the sparkle between the glitter drops, the glitter cardstock, and all of those little elements that add shine. I think these are perfect for the holiday, and I had so much fun creating with this brand new Twinkle and Tradition release from Pinkfresh Studio. Be sure to check out the entire release. It is full of amazing goodies that I think you're going to love, and I've only scratched the surface of the new products that are available in this release. Now, as always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the YouTube description below. So if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. Or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I'll have that linked in the YouTube description below as well. Over there, you're going to find more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as information on a blog hop that's happening to celebrate this brand new Twinkle and Tradition release from Pinkfresh Studio. You do not want to miss the inspiration and the prizes that are available during this blog hop. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoyed these projects. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my paper crafting, card making, and live stream video tutorials. Be sure to leave me a comment below and let me know what inspired you from these projects. Let me know which of these two cards is your favorite, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. I'm so glad you're here, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.